What's up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream here at Palmer Aquatics. My name is Chris, and a lot of you guys probably already know me because you're subscribers and have subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. So I basically do live streams because fish are my life, and I like hanging out with the fish fam, and I like to do all these cool builds and what have you. But anyways, today's topic is kind of going to be somewhat controversial. There's going to be a lot of controversy because I'm a huge Oscar Fish fan, and I own the two largest Oscar Fish Keepers group on Facebook, and I'm a huge fan. I have tons of Oscar Fish videos, so don't get me wrong as far as how I'm going to come across in this video. What I'm going to be doing is talking about the 6 reasons why you shouldn't buy an Oscar fish. And a lot of people have owned Oscar fish and they'll never do it again. I talk with people, I see it in the Facebook groups. People either hate Oscars or they love them. It's either two sides of the spectrum. And I will come out with saying there's a caveat there that keeping Oscar fish is easy if you have a ginormous tank. If you don't, it's going to be hard, and that's probably 90% of fish keepers because, well, actually, let me bring up the chat here before I get too deep into this, because this is kind of going to be, I'm very passionate about this, and there's going to be, there's a lot to talk about, and I hear it all the time, and I've gone through different spells where I want to get an Oscar fish and then I want to get rid of my Oscar fish. It's like two sides of the spectrum. So let's just dive right into it, and let me know in the comment section or the chat if you're live right now why you don't buy Oscar fish, why you don't keep them. I know a lot of people don't keep Oscar fish. Like Corey from Aquarium Co-op and a lot of the other big YouTubers don't keep Oscar fish, and a lot of them are more of nano fish keepers. Simply Betas is into betas. LRB Aquatics is into plants and kind of like smaller nano fish. Corey from Aquarium Co-op keeps a lot of small nano fish. Pretty much the only one I can think of is Primetime Aquatics. And as far as bigger channels, of course Joey keeps monster fish, but he gets kind of a bad rap for it too. So, all right, so we'll give some shout outs here in the chat. It's okay if it's about rescuing, then you're wrong. The word rescue in this industry is kind of misused, if we're being completely honest. A lot of people, I see the posts all the time. Hey, I rescued this fish from Petco. Or hey, I rescued this fish from, someone else. They gave it to me. You bought I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Don't take me wrong, you can consider it rescuing it, but anything you get at a pet store isn't rescuing, if we're being completely honest. It's for sale. And maybe you could say, I rescued the fish from having a bad habitat or living in a bad scenario, from maybe having a bad fish keeper buy it, or living at the store, or dying at the store. I don't know, it's not called, that's more or less a surrender. You know what I mean? Or like when someone surrenders a fish to you. I don't know. Let's get into the topic here. So, Jeff Jan says, I don't Oscar fish. Grew up with them. Ugly. Laugh out loud. I'm gonna say right now, any of the reasons why you shouldn't keep Oscar fish is not because they're ugly. I feel like that's kind of like that's kind of prejudice, right? If we're being honest. So, I rescued it from a subscriber that had a small tank. Okay. I guess you could consider that a rescue, Matt's monster fish, because is it a rescue though? Because I feel like the definition of a rescue is to because that person that had it in a smaller tank probably reached out to you and essentially surrendered it to you, or maybe they would have surrendered it to the fish store. I don't know if I would call it a rescue. I don't know. I'm very passionate about that too. So. I guess Rachel Leary does keep them. You're right, James Mitchell. But to be honest with you, she only has one, and she mainly sells nanofish and keeps nanofish. So But anyways, let's jump into the reasons. So it's I agree. I hate the rescue term. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation in itself. So, all right. So what I'm gonna do is go over the reasons why you shouldn't buy Oscar fish that I hear all the time, and this is kind of like, this is like an average of just my experience of just hearing people talk about them. And you also have to know that I admin and own the two largest Oscar fish Facebook groups there is, and I hear this stuff all the time. Anyways, number 6, I'm gonna go from numerical order from 6 to 1. That way you have to, there is somewhat of a, you have to wait to get to number 1 because, yeah, that's just cooler. So number 6 is they rearrange your tank all the time. And a lot of people really like decorating their tanks. If we're being completely honest, I like decorating tanks. And when you have cichlids, they resurrect everything you do. Usually, the severums and this fish in this tank, the gemsies, the blood parrots, they do a little bit, but not as much as a 13-inch Oscar fish is gonna do. They'll destroy it. These big fish up here, they're moving things. They'll move a pot. It sounds like the pot's hitting the glass. It's gonna break the glass, and you're like, what? Like sometimes people call them tank busters. It's that gets annoying because you'll set up a tank really cool, and the Oscar fish, they screw with everything. You can't have live plants. A lot of times you can't even have fake plants with some of them because they sit there and destroy them. Aquaball says, I hear Oscars eat sponge filters. Yeah, they'll take out a giant chunk of them. The nickname Water Dog suits them really well. They're like, they're just like this crazy dog that gets bored. They chew on things, they resurrect things, they kill things, they just simply get bored. So you can use glue to glue things down, yes. And a lot of like the Oscar fish forums, a lot of guys say that they silicone things down, but how annoying is that? Like, do I have to pre-plan my aquarium before I put water in it to silicone things where they are? Then they're going to be there forever. That's extremely annoying if we're being honest. Stephen Perez says, I have 5 Oscars. I bought them. They are with Jack Dempsey's, and they all get along good so far because they're small and a 180. Yeah, when they get maturity, things change when fish get mature. Like, I've talked about the Midas that fight in this tank all the time. Once fish get mature, they hit a new level of nutso, and that's just true. All right, so that was number 6. Number 5 is feeding them becomes a chore. And a lot of you guys might say, hey, I can feed pellets to my fish every single day. I just drop in Hikari pellets. That's what I do. That is fine. A lot of people do that, but it's not the greatest diet because these fish need like some raw tilapia, some raw shrimp, some insects, some worms. If you want your Oscars to be healthy like they would in natural habitat, you need to keep up with getting them some other sources of protein. Like I talked about worms, insects, tilapia. I use raw shrimp, silver sides, mealworms, earthworms. There's just so much. Centipedes, like anything that get natural habitat. And it becomes a chore. Cutting up tilapia, cutting up the shrimp, feeding them a couple times a week, buying the big pellets. The big fish food costs way more and it goes a lot faster. Even the Hikari Predator sticks, they're expensive. It becomes a chore. And with bigger food, your water parameters, like chunks of uneaten food sinks into the gravel and it kills your water parameters so much faster than smaller food. So, number 6. Number 5, this one's really simple. They're aggressive, and finding tank mates, they're aggressive. And that kind of coincides with number 4. Finding tank mates is hard sometimes. It really depends the Oscar fish. I have a lot of videos on talking about my success with keeping Oscars with tank mates, like raising them as juveniles with other fish. And that really helps. There's fish you can keep them with, but some Oscars are just crazy. And the smaller tank you have, the less success you're going to have with keeping them with other fish, because if you're trying to keep them in a 65-gallon, they're psychopaths, man. And when they're in closer parameters, they get more bored and they just want to kill. But if you have them in a 220, You know, you could maybe keep them with an arowana, some other aggressive cichlids. You know, it is what it is. They are aggressive, bah, they're psycho killers. Again, I have electric yellows with mine, work really well. I know they're Africans, but works with Oscars. Yeah, I know a lot of people that keep larger haps with Oscars, and people are like, oh my god, you're mixing lakes, you know, you're mixing, what am I trying to say? You're mixing, take a deep breath, Chris, take a deep breath. But a lot of people have success. I have not done it. I don't like the look of it. People come to my house and they're like, dude, you're keeping haps with Oscars. I don't know, it's again, it works. I've seen it work. So as far as tank mates, I've had a lot of success with green tears, Jack Dempsey's, green Texas, Midas, Severums. The key is keeping a close eye on them, removing fish when needed. When they're beaten up, remove them. Hiding spots is huge. Tank parameters, tank size, hiding spots, eye views, focal points of where they can hide. There's so much into it. I've had tons of videos on them. Naturally Lochi says, sorry bro, I can't stay for this one. I understand, that's cool. It's Saturday night. I understand a lot of you guys have other things to do than just sit here and chill, so that's cool. Andrew says, my red Oscar's in a 125 and it will get along with Geophagus and in a tiny Acara. Yes, Acaras, Geos. It's you know, a lot of these tougher, larger cichlids work well with Oscars, and it really depends. You know, I'm a huge advocate that if you raise your Oscars as juveniles in community tanks, they do a lot better even as adults because they're used to seeing them. Flower horns, I've seen that. Flower horns are much more aggressive than Oscars though. So Charlie says, Chris, do you want me to send you your videos on Facebook? I don't know how to send videos on Facebook. Yeah, if you just message me and then you can drop the video in the message. So if you search Chris Weber or Palmer Aquatics, you can message me there. I prefer my personal account though. So, all right guys, so we are down to number 6 was rearrange your tank. 5 is feeding them as a chore. 4 is aggressive. Number 3 was tank mates. Number 2 is you need a huge aquarium. This gets really annoying because big fish tanks take up a lot of space. They're expensive. It's really, I feel like you either like big fish tanks or you like small fish tanks. I know there's a happy mix between the two, but I feel like the two kind of segregate, and it's, I love big fish tanks. They're easy. I feel like they're easier to maintain. And I love big fish, but I also, I don't know, big fish tanks, it's just, that's an argument in itself. A lot of people don't want to have a 6-foot tank in their apartment because then you want to keep an Oscar fish, or even in their house. And when I tell people, you know, get a decent sized tank, they're like, oh, like a 30? And I'm like, no, like a 300. And they're like, what? You're nuts. And I was like, yeah, I know, I am kind of nuts. So it's, it is what it is. So let's check out the chat here. What are people saying? I've sent you a video on the longfin Oscars. Yes, Jamie. I did see that. That's super cool. Send me a couple more of them because that was super cool footage. I'm just I'm in the live streams. I'll message you after this, and I can see people are messaging me right now. Cassandra says, this is the best way to spend a Saturday night. Laugh out loud. Think I'll stick with just my Severums. Love how Oscars look, but can't get a second large tank. Maybe when I retire. Yeah, a lot of people, like I said, man, that huge tank is a huge deal. And Severums actually do get pretty big too, but they're not as big as Oscars. And let's be honest, Oscar fish are just, they're huge. They're not only long, but they're thick. I did a video a couple weeks ago on Rick Ferguson's Oscar fish. It was like 15, 16 inches long. Things like this. And it's like, people are keeping those in 75-gallon tanks, and they're okay with that. And I argue probably once a week with people about keeping an Oscar in a 75-gallon tank. And it's like, the length of that fish is 1/4 of the length of the tank. So that is... that's like you living in a car or the trunk of your car. It's just not cool. I've talked about this so much that it's just beaten into the ground. Okay, guys. And number 1, What is number one? If anybody wants to take a guess before I get to number one here in the live stream, I'll give you some clues. Number one is it's work intensive. It's we all kind of like hate doing it, but we know we have to do it as fish keepers. We do it on Sundays. It's Sunday is a very common day to do this. It's who's gonna hit it in the live stream? Come on, guys. 50 here. Water changes. Yes, there it is. Everyone's getting after it. Water changes. Oh my God, these fish, they're so thick. They eat so hardcore. And Cave Andy says feed them 3 times a day when 1 to 6 inches. Yes, they're nuts. And they need water changes. They're thick. They're so, the bio load. I'm going to tell you this right now. In comparison, a fish of similar size, like in this instance, my red devil or a jaguar cichlid, for some reason, a jaguar cichlid has half the bio load an Oscar fish does. I just feel like that's all they do is eat, poop, and that's it. Like, I don't know what it seems like, but Oscar fish are probably one of the most heavy bio load fish I've ever kept. And it's like, it's insane to me. And it's, you know, I once had, years ago, I had 3 full-size Oscars in a 125. I've been a huge advocate of the 125-gallon tank for so long, and 3 Oscars in a 125-gallon tank. I was doing water changes once every 4 days, and it's just like, I thought to myself, I was like, man, I am sick of this. It's like, they're cool fish, but man, I'm like, that's when I moved on to the Jags. And yes, I will take an Oscar fish, but I would prefer to do it under the parameters that I have a 300-gallon tank I can throw them in, or like a 400 or a 500, because even the 6-foot 125s, for a 14, 15-inch fish, it's you're gonna need some crazy filtration. I would throw like 2 FX6s on there and just go crazy with it. All right, guys, what are we saying in the chat here? You can never go wrong with over filtering. Yes, Oscar fish, man, the filtration, it's expensive. We talk about it in the Oscar Fish Keepers Facebook group. It's expensive to have Oscar fish because you got the tank. Even though the Oscar fish is cheap, you have the tank, which is massively huge. Usually you're gonna need a big stand. And then the filtration, FX6s, big Eheims, big Suns, multiple ones too, multiple canisters. You know, a lot of people aren't used to that. Multiple canisters. Water changes. With a big tank, you have a massive heater, so you're going to be using more electric every month. Your water bill for water changes. The food, buying the food is insane. Like the fish food, I find it cheaper to feed them like like raw tilapia and stuff than buying the fish foods all the time, like the pellets. Like if you're buying New Life Spectrum, like large cichlid pellets, it's gonna add up pretty quick, and you'll find that out. So it's, yeah. Otter Creek Aquatics says, I'll stick to my nano fish and shrimp. Yes, that's why there's like such a nano tanks, man. Like there's a beautiful thing about the aquariums from the 10-gallon to the 75-gallon. And it's, you know, even a 75-gallon, you know, with a heater, a light, you got to pay more for a 48-inch light. You have the filter. That's kind of like the max at where things kind of get expensive and whatnot. Jeff Jansen says, Corey says we don't need heaters. I wish he wouldn't have, I love Corey, but I wish he wouldn't have done that video, because man, every time I get this idea to not use a heater in any of my tanks, my fish start getting sick. They break out with ick, their immune systems get weak, and I try to do it slowly. I can drop the temperature in my fish room here 1 or 2 degrees because I try to save some money here in the winter because my electric bills are $300 minimum. And every time the fish gets sick, and I will never do it again. So it's, and granted, I do know some fish are tougher than others, like the Jag cichlid can go way down in temps compared to like a Severum or something. It's, do you need a heater for your tank? Yes, you do need a heater if you're keeping, you know, tropical fish like the ones we're talking about. My fish won't eat tilapia. We have tried it so many times. All they want is crickets or pellets. you know, there's so much more too. Like you could try live mealworms. You could cut the heads off of those. Try earthworms. There are so many different types of worms, and what you could do is get on Amazon and check out a seller on there called Aquatic Foods, and they have so many different types of food. Like check this out. I've been buying these a lot. These are the earthworm and blackworm sticks, and they're little sticks that are just essentially earthworm and blackworms, and it's a 50-50 custom blend of our 45 to 50% California blackworm sticks and earthworm sticks. And they have so many different types of foods there. Like, I'm just blown away that they're not bigger. Like, why are we talking about like New Life Spectrum and Omega-1 so much when we have sellers that are giving us like crazy different types of foods? This is just like, that was an example. They have so many different types of worms that it's insane. It would blow your mind, and it tells you right on the bag what's in the ingredients. The first ingredients: salmon fish meal, California blackworms, soy flour, cornstarch. Like, the fish love this stuff, and it's reasonable price. Like, I've been trying to get this seller to like sponsor me, because they have like, I can't afford to be buying like all 400 different types of their foods, but if I could slowly, you know, if they could send me a type of each of them, I could do videos on it. It would be really cool. And they're not for it. I think they're kind of just a smaller company, probably just trying to make it. So Otter Creek Aquatics says, what was that website again? Here, I will get you a link to it, because I'm really passionate about this seller on Amazon, and I've been buying and trialing so many different types of foods they sell. And the earthworm and blackworm sticks do great. They have the brine shrimp. I actually sold them out of the freeze-dried brine shrimp for quite some time, and they kind of like, I was like, they're like, yeah, we know how much of our stuff you sell us, but we just can't afford to like sponsor you right now, which is cool. I understand it. It's tough to make it. So, and the only reason I want them to sponsor me is so that I can trial all their different types of, here's a link right here. This is just kind of like an example, and what they'll even do is they'll make blends of mixtures of different types of foods. Like they'll mix in this with 10 different of their other foods, which is really cool. So it's like, I'm not only buying one type of food, but I'm buying 10 of them mixed in with one. This is the one I posted is the Gourmet Cichlid food that I tell a bunch of people to buy, with big predator fish like Oscar fish. And this stuff's a little more expensive because it's large size food. But if you check out the seller, here's a link to the seller. Sorry, I should have posted this link. Here's a picture of the seller, or a link to the seller. Sorry, I can't speak. I just think it's really cool. So hopefully that link works. Yeah, it's really good foods, and I'm gonna look at it right now just because I'm sure a bunch of you guys are clicking on it. Yeah, like, check this stuff out. Gourmet blend, 6 types of freeze-dried blackworms, 2FX worms, beef heart, brine shrimp. They have algae wafers that are super good, high quality. I've used those. Salmon pellets. How often have you seen salmon pellets? Like, they have the soft, moist, sinking pellets for axolotls. I mean, that's insane. They have blackworms, loose freeze-dried blackworms. They're loose. So much cool foods here. They have angelfish, flake food. That's pretty cool. Blackworms, freeze-dried blackworms. They have floating koi pellets, freeze-dried tubifex worms. The list just keeps going on. They have different blends, super catfish and bottom feeder blend. They have blackworm pellets, mysis shrimp shreds. I don't know. I'm just blown away by it, and I'm surprised it's not a lot more popular. So, shrimp starter kit, food kit, golden pearl. I don't even know what that is. That's weird. I don't know. There's just so much. There's so much cool stuff here, guys. Carnivore gourmet blend. Ooh, this is something I've never seen. Wax grubs. Pupae/wax grubs. Freeze-dried mealworms. All right, I'm just kind of ranting here. So, no link, says Quaid up. Caleb. Yeah, I just posted the link a little bit up there. See it, Caleb? I'm on my other account right now. So, yeah, they have tons of cool foods, like blackworm sticks. I'm just going to keep going. Color-enhancing pellets for koi. Yeah, the Aquatic Food Seller on Amazon. Aquatic Foods LLC. Beef heart mix for discus. Check this out. Gourmet blend, 5-type, freeze-dried, loose blackworms, tube effects worms, beef heartworms, golden pearl shreds, dried red shrimp, brine shrimp bits. There's just so much foods, and I'm so happy with this, with all the foods I've been getting from them. They have what's called shrimp stuff. It's a tourmaline mineral supplement balls for shrimp. That's pretty interesting. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm not gonna leave you guys for too long here in the chat, but hopefully that helps you guys give an idea of why maybe you shouldn't buy an Oscar fish. If you're thinking about buying an Oscar fish, don't get the wrong idea though, because I'm a huge Oscar fish advocate and I love Oscar fish. And do they have frozen prawns from the supermarket? The seller doesn't, but it's really hard to get. Oh, you're asking, are frozen prawns from the supermarket okay to feed your fish? You know, a lot of people ask me the idea of feeding raw fish from your supermarket to give to your fish. I can't really answer this because I don't know what comes in with the fish. You know, like if there's some weird additive to the fish, what I try to do when I trial it is I feed them a little tiny bit. I will soak it in water, rinse it, soak it, feed them a little tiny bit if it's something new or like a new brand of raw silver sides or something, because I'm always afraid, you know, something from the food industry, from humans. Sometimes they say it's all natural, raw, but sometimes they add stuff to it. And sometimes you can smell weird additives. Sometimes they'll have like a weird gel on it, or like a bubbly substance, and it just makes me worried. So I always tell people, tread lightly, soak it, rinse it, soak it, and then feed a little bit of it. Don't just go to Hammer Town with it. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, yeah. I wash them, but I feed my eel fresh raw shrimp, not frozen. Yes. Shrimp, I feel like, you know, like some people are asking me some weird raw fish that I've never even heard of. I stick to a lot of the white fish and just general shrimp and make things simple. But I do know that different areas of the world have different types of fish. They get different things at supermarkets that I have no idea about. And I just really can't answer that. You know what I mean? So, what's your view on the eclipse catfish? I just checked. Someone messaged me and asked, do you have a video on the eclipse catfish? And I actually do. I think it was made a long time ago, though. The eclipse catfish. Yes, I do. Ah, man, look how small Avery is in that video. Sometimes I look at these old videos and realize how crappy the quality they are, where I would just had Avery. My wife was just like, hey, man, go watch Avery. And I couldn't do anything except, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start making videos with my daughter. But now I look back in these videos with Avery, and she's like this little tyke. She's like this little grasshopper, and it's hilarious to kind of be able to see her grow up on YouTube. It's hilarious. But the videos weren't good, if I'm being completely honest. You know, it was literally me holding my baby and talking about the fish holding the camera, and I didn't even have a tripod or anything. But all fish channels kind of start somewhere, right? So I started up with ghost shrimp. I heard ghost shrimp are actually pretty hard to raise as feeders. So, and I'm sure JH Aquatics will be able to help you on that, because I've heard cherry shrimp are actually easier to keep than ghost shrimp. So, because I've tried to raise ghost shrimp with zero success, because they're a harder shrimp to raise than you'd think. So, all right, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. We almost hit 30 minutes here. So Kenny Swift says, love your videos. Thanks, man, for the kind words. And it feels cool to be live streaming again. I've been doing a lot of editing, so I figured I'd just kind of hang out. I have some videos rendering right now. I will be uploading them probably in the morning, and I'm just excited. I'm gonna try to get some good sleep tonight, and it's I'm gonna try to hit it hard in the morning. So because there'll be updates on the shop coming. Ghost shrimp need the GH and KH, right? Yeah, see, Joseph is a shrimp madman. He's really good with like soft water and just crazy technical water parameters. I have hopes at getting better once I get all my setups in the shop. I want to get into some RO water, but I get kind of spoiled here because like I can just do water changes like bananas. I'm on a well, and I haven't really gotten technical, whereas like Joseph has limited amount of water, and I mean his channel's awesome. Joseph is awesome. But I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I will be watching tomorrow for some updates. I'm probably gonna start getting into live streaming out in the shop. I just gotta figure out a way to get my internet signal out there to where it's strong enough to be able to live stream. So yeah, I am not that awesome. I'm just doing what I love. You've been keeping fish for a pretty long time too, Joseph. That's not a poke at how old you are, but you actually were older than what I had no idea. But good looking guy. You've been keeping fish for quite some time, and with that experience with that time comes experience. So I really actually learn a lot from your live stream, so it's really cool. So shout out to JH Aquatics. Check out his channel. He's really into like technical nano tanks, smaller fish, breeding just kind of like indigenous species that are going extinct. Great dude. So all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Cassandra, thanks for the new food site. Very appreciated. Excited to check it out. Yeah, it's right on Amazon, so it's really easy. I'll throw a link in the description box too. Anthony is asking about how far is your garage from your house, Chris? My garage is literally, well, I actually have a garage on my house, but the shop, not to get technical, it doesn't matter, but the shop is probably 30 feet away. And so, all right, guys, take it easy. Thanks for the kind words, Joseph. You don't need to boast to me though. Yeah. I'm getting tired, guys. It's 10 o'clock here. I just need to get off. I will be uploading tomorrow. My videos are almost done rendering. I had to like change formats from what people sent me. It's a catastrophe. Joseph knows what I'm talking about. All right, guys, take care. Have a great night. And tomorrow's Sunday. Get your water changes in and have a great night. Essentially, watch a movie. Kiss your loved ones. Kiss your kids. Kiss your fish and tell them good night. Mine are staying up past their bedtime. All right, Otter Creeks, take it easy. Thanks for sharing the food link in the description. Yes, I will share